Coming up on Zola Levitt Presents, we'll explore the prophetic connection between the Holocaust and the rebirth of the State of Israel.
I will console those who mourn in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they may be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of Adonai, that he may be glorified.
Shalom Chavarim, welcome to our program, friends. I'm Miles Weiss.
And I'm Katharine Weiss, and we want to welcome you to our series, Beauty for Ashes. In this series, we contrast two of the most significant events in Jewish history, the Nazi Holocaust and the rebirth of the State of Israel.
Yeah, it's amazing that during the time of the diaspora, the dispersion, God has always had his heart and his mind and his eye on Zion, on Jerusalem, on the regathering of his people.
He's a God of restoration.
He is, and it goes back to, this is not something that happened in 1948. This is something that goes back to the promise to Abraham. Right. And the prophet Zechariah says, in Zechariah 1:14, he says, Kineti li Yerushalayim uleit Zion kina gedolah. I am zealous over Jerusalem and zealous over Zion with great zeal. And that has never ended.
Right.
This is an eternal promise.
Right.
And so when we look at the horror of the Holocaust and we see the terrible things that took place in the death camps in Poland and throughout Europe, we really understand that in spite of that, God had a plan, has a plan for the Jewish people, and he's going to do what he's going to do. I think Ezekiel 36 and 37 really say it clearly that he would open the graves. And so we're about to go to Auschwitz and hear Katharine's interview with Teresa. Teresa is a historian who is sanctioned by the museum at Auschwitz to speak to you. So let's go to Katharine's interview right now.
We're here in Auschwitz, and I'm here and I'm speaking with our guide and historian, Teresa. Teresa, as a woman and as a mother, it's just heart-wrenching to think about what anyone went through, but especially a mother being separated from their child or having to go through some of the horrific things that they had to go through. Tell us a little bit about what they would encounter here.
We are in Auschwitz I, which was the first established camp, the main. And in fact, the prisoners who were to be sent here were to be men. But of course, over the history of this place, the previous concept was changed very often. So eventually in spring 1942, they isolated the 10 buildings here just for women. And the very first female prisoners, they were located also here in this camp. The very first group registered in the camp, that was 999 prisoners from Ravensbrück. They were mainly German women. The same day, the 26th of March 1942, a group from Slovakia was brought, again 999, and they were Jewish prisoners. Many of them were young girls, teenagers. Some of them managed to survive, and from their testimonies we know that at this time of the camp history, they were not going through the selection. They became prisoners. They were registered. But still, in this abnormal reality, they felt really abandoned. They felt really lost. But the Slovak Jewish families those days, they were, most of them, really large, many people. So they were having some cousins, aunts, some other relatives around. And thanks to these links, they say they managed to survive.
So, but is it true that the women and the children were immediately just killed,
exterminated.
exterminated.
Yes, this is to have what happened to vast majority of the
Right.
Jewish people brought
Right,
here.
right.
Just on the unloading platform, they have to face the selection. And the German doctor, just looking at the person, was deciding about life or death. And very often they didn't ask about the age, especially when the mother was very close to the children. They never separate the mothers from very small children, prevent them asking about the children crying. So if we take the statistics of the victims of the gas chamber, we will see that actually great majority of the people who were killed in the gas chambers were mothers and children. The women, in fact, they were later on in Birkenau, where the special concentration female sector was organized just for them.
Just for them. You know, they were diminished, so their hair was cut off, their clothes were taken, they were given a number, and the survival under you can't even count the calories because it wasn't even a calorie meal. So the meal was basically boiling water.
Well, there was certain, let's say, orders how much of the calories the prisoners should be given here, but the numbers were reduced
Right.
very often. And also the children, which were considered as not so effective workforce as the
Right,
men,
right.
again the numbers were smaller. So to have that little to eat,
Right.
the survival was very hard.
Right.
But there was something else what was also killing the children: epidemics. In Birkenau was a huge camp under construction, and there was no proper sanitation. The children were left neglected. So different diseases caused by dirt, starting with diarrhea, and then all problems with skin,
Right.
back to up to some really serious diseases like typhus. They were
Right.
spreading in the camp,
Right.
and the children were the very first victims of this. They were, for example, drinking the water from some puddles from ditches because they were thirsty, not knowing that the water is contaminated. And that was just the beginning of their end.
I've heard that they weren't even able to walk. They had to keep this pace of constant running or they were beaten. Is this true?
Yes, absolutely. They were expected to work
Yeah.
efficiently,
Right.
with very often things they were never trained.
Right.
Never knowing how to do it.
Right.
Then all the orders given to them were in a foreign language.
Exactly.
So they could not respond effectively and equally for what they were expected to do. So their situation was really horrible, really horrible.
Yeah.
Well, of course, they say once there was someone around who could take care of the children, of a child or children, depend what situation they were, it started to improve their position. For example, among the adults, they were teachers, and many of them, they were people who were very devoted to their profession. So even in this abnormal reality, they found the strength,
Right.
they found the motivation, not only to take care of themselves, but also to be like a guard, someone to protect the youngest, the smallest. Doesn't matter what nationality are
Right.
they. Are they Christians? Are they Jewish? Are they Orthodox, Protestant, whoever? Just a child who is in needy, who is left to die, and to do whatever is possible to help
Right.
this poor person.
Anybody that survived Auschwitz, it's a miracle because you weren't meant to survive here. You were meant to be exterminated or work to death. So the testimonies that I've heard from survivors where something clicked inside of them where they made the decision, I will get out of here. Or they said, tomorrow I'll go and touch the fence, just not today, as they were starving, freezing, and being tortured. People could go and commit suicide by just grabbing hold of that fence. Is this true?
This is true, and this is again something what the survivors respond with fear, and with at the same time with sort of feeling of the fact that they resist, that actually seeing pictures like some of the inmates on the wire, not alive, because they saw it when they were marching in the morning to work. Still the corpses were left, and the Germans were to make some administrative procedure. And also the prisoners were talking to each other about the fact that if you are very bad and you touch even unintentionally coming too close to the wire, you will be dead immediately. So there was very often just this idea, it's so bad, so I can't handle this anymore. And the only thing I could do is just to end this strategy, or just the innocent conversation with someone, a word or sentence was giving just the positivity for the next day. And this is what they were keeping in mind, repeating themselves constantly, and trying for another day, another week, another month, and eventually being liberated.
Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for studying, and thank you for helping us as we are in this journey to remember. So,
thank you.
I want you all to know that we're here to remember the lives that are lost, and that we would say, never again.
It's fascinating to hear the Polish view of the events that took place there. They were victimized as well, but there was also some darker side to that story that will come up later in our series. This suicidality and the degradation that people went through, it's totally understandable, and yet the survivors that we meet are the strongest people I've met in my whole life.
So the quality of who they are as people, because they fought so hard to survive. We wanted to bring this series to you to remind all of us that this happened, that it was a horror, but we want to say that there is not a denial of that this was a reality, but it's very true that this Holocaust did happen. But after this, we'll take you to Israel and you'll hear about the Startup Nation.
Our resource this week, the Messianic Roots lapel pin. Show that you recognize the Jewish roots of the Christian faith by wearing this ancient symbol, believed to have been used as a seal by the early followers of Jesus. Approximately 1 inch long, this unique pin combines the menorah, the Star of David, and the Christian fish. For this resource and more, call 1-800-WONDERS or visit us at levitt.com.
Hi, I want to thank you for continuing to support Zola Levitt Presents. That's how we've been able to bring you our television program for many years now. But not only on television, you can also connect with us online. You can go to our Facebook page anytime, as well as the YouTube channel. And thank you very much for your continued support.
For insightful perspectives on Israel and Bible prophecy, ask for our free monthly newsletter, The Levitt Letter. At levitt.com you can read the newsletter, watch the TV program, or visit our online store. Stay current with us on social media via Facebook and Twitter. Come with us on a tour of Israel or Petra, or a cruise to Greece and Ephesus. Please contact us for more information.
We would love to host you in Israel. It is our joy to bring pilgrims to Israel and to have them to watch as their hearts open and their minds are renewed with a depth in the Word.
Yeah.
Just a life-changing experience. So just get in touch with us at 1-800-WONDERS and come with us to Israel. It will be the time of your life.
Yeah, it'll set you on a course that is an eternal course, and it's His heart for His homeland. You know, we also want to remind you of the newsletter. This is a very informative letter that tells you about what's happening in this world today. It's free to you. You just write to us. And when you support this ministry, these newsletters go directly into jails, and they're educational and they're informative, and they're a blessing.
Yeah, we've heard some incredible reports of people sharing the newsletter, the Levitt letter, with Muslim friends in prison and beginning a dialogue about the gospel. So your support for our ministry helps this gospel to go forward, even into the prisons in America. Now let's go back to Israel, where Katharine will interview our Israeli producer, Tal.
Here we are in Tel Aviv, one of the beautiful cities off the coast, and I'm here with an Israeli producer, Tal, and we'd love to hear about the project that you've been working on, the Startup Nation project. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so hi. I've been working on a documentary that is actually following startups, Israeli startups, in different stages, and actually bringing out the human story of the people behind the startups, and it's been really amazing. Also in Tel Aviv, meeting all these people that have had ideas in their mind and executed them or are on the way to execute them. And it's always ideas that start from just a small idea on the bus, or somebody thought about something on the way to work, and then it gets developed with more people and more minds and inspirations. And we have a lot of people here working on different and amazing technologies and startups.
And Tal, you've also lived here in Tel Aviv. Tell us a little bit about life here in Tel Aviv.
So I've been here for the past 10 years, I think, and I love it, really. I enjoy being here. First of all, the sun, but a lot of very creative people, and it's been really great being here, meeting people, having a lot of inspiration and ideas, and just a huge city with so many things to do, and I really feel like I'm in New York or London or Paris, and close to the sea, so I really love it here.
It's so beautiful, and we want to thank you for helping us while we're here in the land. You've been such an added blessing to us, so thank you, Tal. Thank you for sharing, too.
Thank you.
You know, Israel is not what you see in CNN, obviously. We love to bring you the life part of Israel, from reforesting the forests. You know, I think it's one of the only nations that has actually increased their forest. They make a point to rebuild and to restore. And they make a point to have tikkun olam, to repair the world, to not only bring solutions that will help them, but will help the world. I love the app that sold for $1.3 billion. Google acquired it, and it's Waze. And my son turned me on to it. It's an amazing app that helps you get through traffic. The LA people said it helped them get through the gridlock that they call Armageddon. It's just been such an amazing app that helps you get from one distance to another without facing the traffic, and it'll even warn you of pitfalls that are ahead. That's just one of them. There's solar power that's affected Africa and India. Wix is to build your own website, or the Israeli Defense Force, which is going behind the scenes and affecting horrible circumstances and doing it in a cyber war. Not to mention that they've created something that's called Rewalk, and its ability to help people that are paraplegic to walk again. Or there's Oracam that helps a blind person to communicate outside of having somebody to help him. So here we are in modern Tel Aviv. The ancient and the modern have come alive. The people are alive. The desert has bloomed, and the mind has been enlightened to create what God had told them to create, that they would be a light to the nations. And they are doing that, and it's our joy to bring you the true story from Israel.
Israel is blessed with abundant amounts of sunshine, which is one of the reasons solar energy has flourished here. Located just west of Tel Aviv is Brenmiller Energy. Here, I caught up with President and CEO Avi Brenmiller to find out why he started this company that specializes in designing, building, and operating thermo-solar power plants.
I established my own company together with two of my sons, trying to do two things. I mean, basically making the technology cheaper, or the power produced from this kind of technology cheaper, and two, storing enough solar energy so it can be used during more hours per day.
This is innovative. This is something that I think others have thought about, but you've really been working towards implementing it. You said in one of the bios I read, scalability, making things available, whether they're huge or small.
Right.
Power availability, meaning even when the sun is not shining.
Right.
And price competitiveness, which I'm calling saleability, so you can have that poem.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. But the idea being that you're working on all those fronts, but tell us a little bit about the idea of storage or availability.
Okay. All the time I was thinking, how do we bring the world of renewable energy, or solar energy, and fossil fuel energy, how we bring them together? Because we as human beings, we need a lot of power during the evening, during the nights, during cloudy days. So one has to bring those technologies together in a cost-efficient way. Otherwise, it's two different worlds, like we are today.
Yes.
And someone will take care about joining them together. Eventually, we are paying now for both.
Right. But here you're talking about on a massive scale of using all available means to produce the most efficient energy. Has there been a lot of resistance to that?
Eventually, initially, yes. Yeah. I think now when people are really tackling the issues of having those worlds separated, they're also looking for ways to bring them together. So I'm pitching this for years, and now I hear more and more people are accepting that approach. Bringing, hybridizing with fossil fuels, getting as much solar as you can get to the equation, as it makes economic sense to get to this equation, and keeping our air cleaner, all of this in an affordable price.
Yes.
Otherwise, there's no point in doing it.
It makes too much sense. It makes absolute sense to be as renewable as possible, but to not overlook the fact that we are where we are currently. Right. And so, what's next for your company?
Next is the first commercial plant. It's only 1.5 megawatt scale. It's a small plant in the thermal world, but it will be grid connected, and it will prove everybody that this is real. We need to prove it to the government, the regulators, to the banks, because they have to finance bigger projects.
Sure.
So this project is really a kickstart, but we have other projects coming in. Afterwards, 10 megawatts, 40 megawatts, and probably a project which is more than 100 megawatts, and not only in Israel, worldwide.
This series is about the miracle of Israel in the 20th century, coming out of the horror of the Holocaust. Now, I believe, and I believe my viewers believe, this is all the fruit of a promise from Hashem to Abraham. So it goes back 4,000 years, not 100 years. But the Holocaust, I like to think the world blinked for a moment. There was compassion on the Jewish people, and this amazing miracle opened up for a reborn state. What about your personal connection with the Holocaust and your family life?
Okay, both of my grandparents were murdered in the Holocaust. So my mother and my father ran away from Poland to Russia at the beginning of the war, but they were the only ones who managed to run away. The rest of the families were killed. So we are a very small family. And this is really probably affecting any decision, a major decision I make in life. I am a graduate of Ohio State University, and it was very convenient for me to stay in the US, but the decision was to go back to Israel, because I found that probably for me, as a Jew, being a member of a family that was really killed in the Holocaust, there is no better place for Jews, or I want my children to grow in a country like Israel, even though US was much more convenient, was paying much higher salaries, and so on.
How do you explain this tiny place with a few million people being at the forefront of all this technological breakthrough and this brain trust that seems to be here? How do you see it yourself?
Okay. In one word, I would say it's survival. We, the Jewish people, had to survive through the last generations all over the world. When you need to survive, you are becoming really effective in finding new ways to generate new stuff. And also today, it's a small country, so the market here is small. So the world is our market.
Right.
So in order economically, in order to survive, you have to become really effective in the way you develop new things. Because the standard way is always there. Nobody needs us to do it in normal way.
Wow.
So we have to come up with something new all the time. Or maybe a couple of generations and everything will be okay and economically will be fine and our kids and peace will be here, okay.
Right.
We will not be as effective or innovative as we are today, but right now we are still those guys who need to survive.
In the midst of speaking of the darkness of the Holocaust, it was such a joy to speak with people like Avi Brenmiller, who have taken that survival mentality that he inherited from his surviving family members and brought it to Israel, where they're just making life better for everyone on the planet through innovations and just forward thinking. It's interesting, Katharine, that the more agnostic among them say, oh, well, we did this on our own. We're so smart, we're so wonderful. They would never say it like that. And then the less agnostic, the more believing types say somehow God had to be involved in this.
Right.
For us as believers, we know it's the hand of God
that
delivered them.
It has to be those two contrasts of the Holocaust and then what God has helped them to do by being a light to the nation, to bring forth all these amazing gifts with their minds. You wrestle, is God real? Would he allow that much evil and this much blessing? And then the wrestling of humanity. Why do humans do such evil thing? If you don't understand, there's these three spirits that are at work. There's the devil, there's God, and there's man.
Right, we have
and whatever
choice.
you're yielded to is going to produce. And this tiny little nation, it's a miracle. They're surrounded by people that want to wipe them out, and yet they are standing for democracy. They are standing for health. They are standing for innovation. They're the first ones to be there when there's a disaster. We could go on, and we will, because we know you love to hear about it, and we love to share the good news of what God is doing. He is resurrecting the land of Israel, and he's calling you to himself.
That's why we always like to end our program by reminding you, Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim.
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Our monthly newsletter, The Levitt Letter, is free and full of insightful articles and news commentary from a messianic perspective. Visit levitt.com to find our newsletter, along with current and past programs, our television schedule, and much more.
Don't forget to order this week's resource by calling 1-800-WONDERS, or you can purchase it from our catalog at levitt.com.
Your donations to Zola Levitt Ministries help these organizations bless Israel. Please remember, Zola Levitt Ministries depends on tax-deductible donations from viewers like you.
This has been a paid program by Zola Levitt Ministries.